Hello out there, casual fanatics. Jeremy here, and this is a very special casual vlog slash impromptu shadow shoots because I'm taking some time here while I'm at work, while I'm on my lunch break, eating, to sit down and talk to you all about a very relevant subject to what's been going on in movies recently. Batman versus Superman and kind of the stuff that's come out of it. I apologize for the shaky handheld cam. I have not yet got a suitable mounting setup in my new car. Nickname still to come. So, but I wanted to talk a little bit about it. And, well, since I'm moving, I can actually, I'm not moving anymore, I can actually go ahead and unbuckle. I want to preface this by saying I'm not, by any means, a comic book person. I don't read a lot of comic books. I'm not very knowledgeable in comic books. Most of my knowledge when it comes to comics comes from either watching the very great review series Atop the Fourth Wall with Louis Linkar Lovehog. Here's to you, boy. Or from watching other comic book related properties, adaptations, like movies or animated series. And during the 90s, when comic books were kind of in that dark era where they were really like grim and gritty and extreme and all that shit, both Marvel and DC excelled in the TV space. There were a few misses here and there for both sides. Fantastic Four for the Marvel side really comes to mind immediately as not being that great of a series. And but I grew an affinity for those superheroes, even as it was back in the days when, you know, Batman was being portrayed by some of the people in my church as being, oh my god, scary and demonic, which, when you know the backstory of Bruce Wayne and why he became the Batman, it's kind of the point. But, you know, he's not actually a demon. He just looks like he is because a superstitious cowardly lot. You know, that whole thing. Batman Beyond reference. By the way, Batman Beyond was really the one that got people scared about Batman looking demonic because of how slim and futuristic and gargoyle the suit looked like. But still my favorite, probably one of my favorite superhero shows to this day is Batman Beyond. And watching those shows, I got an idea of what superheroes are supposed to be. You know, I watch the Batman Adventures, I watched the Adventures of Superman, I watched Justice League and Justice League Unlimited on Cartoon Network. I'd watch that, you know, they'd air that alongside the likes of Outlaw Star and Dragon Ball Z on the Cartoon Network. And it worked. And it was awesome. And some of the other properties that they had as well. On the Marvel side, you had Spider-Man. I don't care what you say. The Spider-Man 90s series was pretty awesome. I liked watching that, and I liked how serialized it was. How it felt like watching a series of comic books. Spider-Man Unlimited, not so great, but kind of kept along the same line. X-Men. Oh, hell yes, X-Men. I mean, I still love Gambit to this day, largely because of X-Men. And because I especially liked his dynamic with Rogue, because, you know, ladies and gentlemen, if someone's willing to stay with you and be flirty with you and want to be romantically involved with you, even when they know that you have the power to literally suck the life out of them in many different ways just by touching them, They're a keeper. I don't care what you say. 90s Gambit, best Gambit. Wiemelchen. Of course, his name being kind of a similar to, the latter part of my own doesn't hurt. But yeah, I watched those and I got a real sense of what being a superhero was like. Both the good and the bad. Seeing these superheroes go through so many different things and still being honorable, just, wise, and yes, also powerful beyond mortal comprehension. That's where I learned what my idea of superhero was. That and Power Rangers, Between that and Power Rangers, that's how I learned about superheroes. I have not yet seen Batman versus Superman, and I should rephrase that. I have not seen Batman and Superman, and I do not have the plans to. Because, while I never saw Man of Steel, I have heard many of the major criticisms with Man of Steel, and I have also heard that those criticisms now extend to Batman versus Superman with a twist. See, part of the influence of Linkara, having watched his stuff, is that I've been able to see a different side of Batman and Superman. I've been able to see how they are treated by people who don't really get the characters. I've been able to see what it looks like when these characters don't match up with what their ideal should be. I've seen things like The Dark Knight Returns. I've seen things like All-Star Batman and Robin. I've seen things like Superman Grounded. His reviews of that, or Superman at Earth's End. And I know, at least in my own mind, I know what I think is good, and I know what I think is bad. And from what I've heard, the current depictions in the movie universe of Batman and Superman are incomprehensibly bad. Allow me to clarify. Because again, I come from DCAU. I have seen, well, actually with Batman, I started with the 1960s series. But let's be fair, that's not an accurate comparison to the modern movie Batman. If we're going to compare to the modern movie Batman, we need to be looking at two places. The Tim Burton movies and Kevin Conroy's Batman from the animated series. In my case, I didn't really watch the Tim Burton movies back in those days, so my best place to compare is with the DCAU. What I saw in the DCAU was, yes, a troubled soul. If you're not writing Batman as being anything but a troubled soul en route, you're probably doing it wrong. Because there is no way that you get to see your parents murdered in front of you when you are not but 10 years old and not come through it with any kind of mental trauma. That is, in the purest definition of the sense, a traumatic experience. But at the same time, the DCAU, Batman, he was gruff. He was a bit abrasive to other people. He was distrusting of others, except for Alfred. But he had a good head about his shoulders. And here's the important part, he did not deliberately kill anybody. Because he was trying to make a world safe from killers. He was trying to create a world where 10-year-old boys didn't have to witness the kind of shit that he witnessed. He didn't want to bring more violence into the world. He wanted to end the violence in Gotham City. And he wanted to do it in a way that showed that there was a better path, that there was a noble knight out there in the darkness who would fight for what was right and would do so without killing a single person. That is the man that I grew up knowing as Batman. And then, I mentioned it earlier, Batman Beyond. You look at Batman Beyond. The instant that that Bruce Wayne got so old and weak that he had to pick up a gun to intimidate someone, he knew it was time to retire. And retire he did, at least until the time that he was able to find a suitable successor in Terry McGinnis. Again, that is the Batman that I know. Now, let's take a look at Superman from those days. Again, my early experiences with Superman actually started with both George Reeves' Superman series, played on Nick at Night and TV Land back in the day, and also the Christopher Reeve movies. And that's actually a good place to start with that as well, though I will get to DCAU Superman in a bit. And actually, I can bring him in right now, because while the 60s series had, more of the goofier elements of the Silver Age, both it, the Richard Donner movies, and the DCAU shared one thing in common. While Superman was not born of this earth, he grew up with very humane and human values. He grew up in the Midwest. And as much as I tend to scoff about some of the things that I learned in my youth, I technically live in a Midwestern state, although I would prefer to call it Mid-South. And yeah, among the major things that you learn in a very blue-collar background is respect for others, respect for the living, respect for the world around you, and respect for yourself. You learn how to empathize with people. You learn how to be hospitable towards people. You learn how to be either a gentleman or a lady, depending on your preferred gender. Or person, if you prefer to not have any binary gender. You learn how to have good values. And again, in those depictions, Superman didn't kill anybody. Superman didn't want to kill anybody. And at the times that Superman started to think about killing and or lobotomizing people, that was the time that he started reaching out to his friends for help. That's how the Justice League was formed, because Superman was starting to get to a point where he realized he was getting a little too big for his tights. That he was starting to use his powers for things that Mom and Pa Kent would not approve of. So, he reached out to Batman. He reached out to Wonder Woman. He reached out to Green Lantern and Flash and the Martian Manhunter and Hawkgirl and started the Justice League. And again, that was my perception of those characters growing up. I did not know any other perception until my adult years. And actually, Wonder Woman, let's talk about her, because she's in the new movie as well. My first real experience with Wonder Woman was through the DCAU, specifically through Justice League. And to this day, I still consider that the best depiction of Wonder Woman that I have ever seen or heard of. I'm sorry, Linda Carter, it's true. Because she starts out in Justice League as a complete fish out of water. She starts out in Justice League knowing absolutely nothing about the West, about the world of men. And yet, you can tell just by seeing her from the very beginning that she's going to be somebody special. And when she meets up with Clark and with Bruce, and they recognize her for what it is, they don't judge her because she's a woman. And no, they bring her in, they mentor her, they help bring her into the world, and one of the first things that they do together is say, hey, we're forming a team. You're the first one on it. You want to be the first one to join us? You do? Cool. You're in, Wonder Woman. And for years in DC Comics, as I understand it, that's pretty much been Wonder Woman's place as the third of DC's Holy Trinity. So, as in my formative years learning about superheroes, I find out about these superheroes and I get these specific visions of them that are given to me by people who ostensibly are working under the graces of DC/Warner Brothers to bring these characters to life. And then we have the more recent movies. Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises. Well, I haven't seen Dark Knight Rises, but I have seen Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. They're good depictions of Batman, but I wouldn't say they're entirely faithful ones. Some of the things that version of Batman does, I don't see the version of Batman that's in my head doing. I don't see him deliberately allowing someone to die in a train crash. I don't see him allowing the Joker to die. Even though the Joker is the most vile, chaotic person on Earth, I don't see Batman ever killing or allowing the Joker to be killed under any way. But then we have the news from the Batman versus Superman movie, where apparently this version of Batman, directed by Zack Snyder, who did Man of Steel, who turned Superman into someone who would kill just for the fuck of it, because he thinks it needs to be done. Bullshit. Turns Batman into someone who kills because he needs to. Apparently, this is what our superheroes are supposed to be. Superheroes are supposed to be people who kill because they need to, because evil can only be stopped by utterly destroying it. This is not my beautiful house. It's like taking a page from Lee Carrigan. It's like Frank Miller won. It's like his depiction of Batman became the default Batman. It's like Crazy Steve killed Bruce Wayne and took over the cape and cowl. And as for Superman, well, looks like we've got unbearded idiot. Either that or he was killed and replaced by Superboy Prime, whichever you prefer. For the Wonder Woman analog, I don't have any comments on that because I haven't heard anything about the depiction of Wonder Woman. But it seems like Zack Snyder and the movie people have looked at the successful Tim Burton Batman movies and gotten the wrong idea as to why those were successful. They seem to have focused on the fact that they were grim and gothic, mysterious. And yeah, Batman killed several people in the Tim Burton movies, and that wasn't great either. But again, I don't think they quite got the lessons that Tim Burton's movies, yeah, they were dark and mysterious, but they still kept that comic book charm to them. And Batman was ultimately a good person who may have done a few bad things there. Here's the thing about superheroes. They're not supposed to represent life as it is. We have enough heroes who deliberately kill people. We have enough of those in real life. And as much as I respect our military, I still long for the day that the military does not have to do their job anymore. Because, honestly, speaking personally, I don't like the idea of having to kill people for either religious or ideological reasons or to defend a homeland. I don't like that. I never will. I understand why it may need to be done right now, but I hope for the day that ends up no longer being necessary. And you look at the DC TV series that they have out and Marvel's TV side. Well, Marvel's TV side in specific is really unique because it actually plays into the movie universe. The movie universe has this, shared cinematic universe, but each movie has their own unique flair. And when they come all together, it doesn't feel like they're all shoehorned in together. It feels like they're a part of the same universe. And then you have the TV side on thing, which expands the universe out even more. On the DC side, it's the same thing. There is a shared TV universe. The Flash and Oliver Queen have gotten together. The Legends of Tomorrow have met an older Oliver Queen. We're going to have Flash and Supergirl crossing over together. They're all separate, different entities with different feelings to them, and yet they fit together well because they're designed to be that way. And they're designed with that very comic booky feel. Constantine crossed over with Arrow, if I remember correctly. And Constantine's a very dark series, and it still worked. And then you have the movies, which is everybody is dark. No variation in tone until you get to Suicide Squad, the breakaway hit. But we're going to ignore why that was actually good, aren't we? We're going to ignore why people actually like Suicide Squad. It's because the people were fun. Yes, there were villains, but they were fun. They were comic book characters. You have Harley Quinning it up. You have Joker being an absolute lunatic, and while I still hate the design, that's the Joker. He's a lunatic. If you don't have your Joker acting like a lunatic, you don't have the Joker. The one movie that seems to get it is the one that's not a part of the main combined universe. Are you fucking kidding me? It's like, it is very much a case of the left hand does not know what the right hand is doing. The movies have no idea why the TV shows are successful and why Marvel's movies are so successful. It's because they're comic book stuff. They're adapted from comic books, and they are not shying away from some of the sillier things that are going on. That's why you have breakout hits. On the Marvel side, you had the breakout hit movie of Guardians of the Galaxy, and in DCU, going back to the animated universe from way back, Static Shock, anybody? That was an absolute excellent show. It was so wildly different from anything else that the DCAU was doing that I did not even know it was a DCAU show until the Justice League showed up. Until they actually showed up, fought alongside Static and said, "Hey, you're a cool kid. You got promise. Keep going." I did not know it was a DC show. It was just that wildly different. I thought it was an original superhero show that Warner Brothers had come up with. I did not know that there was comic book characters behind these metahumans. If you have great writing teams and you keep in mind that they are superheroes, and what superheroes are supposed to be, you're gonna have success after success after success. That's what's been working on Marvel on the movie and the TV side. That's what's been working on the DC TV side. You can't have everybody be grim and gritty killers. It's not going to work because people are going to get bored. And people are going to get frustrated because they are going to see characters who have been consistently being portrayed as being, through most of the TV and the movies sides, as being unwilling to kill if they can at all avoid it, suddenly be like, oh, boom, crack, boom, 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 dead, 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 dead. No. That doesn't work. There are some superheroes out there who get away with killing. You know, there are some superheroes out there who you can make that kind of attitude work with. Batman and Superman aren't it. And Wonder Woman, yeah, might be able to. But here's the thing. There's a reason why those three are the Trinity. Superman is the heart of DC. He's the one with the values. He's the one with the morals. He's the one with the best sense of what's right and what's wrong. Wonder Woman is the soul and spirit of DC. She's the one with the kindness. She's the one with the compassion. She's the one who has the strength to be truthful and honest, and to not, she is the spirit of truth and compassion, and yet she'll get up in you if she needs to. And Batman is the mind of DC. He's the one who's the most intelligent and wise of all the superheroes. He has trained himself in so many different fields, become the world's greatest detective, which so many depictions failed to account for. He became the greatest detective so that he could find ways that other people's couldn't to end crime. Anybody can kill someone if pushed hard enough. It takes real guts, real determination, and real wisdom to know when not to kill someone. That is what DC movies are missing. That's why the TV series are doing so much better than the movies. And that's why, on the movie side of things, Marvel is winning. Because they get that. They get that their characters cannot stray from the things that make them the characters that they are. Tony Stark is a jackass with a heart of gold. And that's the Tony Stark that they're giving us. Captain America is a patriotic man with a heart for people, as opposed to just blind loyalty. That's what makes him Captain America, and that's what we're getting. Thor is an amazing, epic, literal god. Well, pretty much a literal god. And yet, he still has a heart for mortals. That's the kind of Thor we're getting in the movies. What are we getting in DC? Crazy Steve and unbearded idiot. It's a shame. Now I gotta finish eating. So until next time, keep it casual, y'all.